Hey everybody, this is Sheets, and I'm going to be going over the MMA card for this Saturday. That would be November 20th, maybe. I'm doing this one a little bit early, so if fights kind of drop off, I might redo this, but I do have a little time today, so I figured I would go through it. And we did a really, really nice job last week with respect to the analysis. And some of the things worked out, some of them didn't. But again, with respect to process, I think that we really are, for those of you who've been watching these videos, hopefully you're learning how to approach these types of contests. So we're going to do the same thing this week as we did last week. And just what we're going to do again is look for a couple of things. We're going to look for good inside the distance props. We're going to look for good pricing, and we're going to look for good win conditions. We want to find, in a perfect world, right? We want to find a well-priced fighter that is going to finish early, or if they're not going to finish early, get a lot of takedowns and volume. Obviously, if you can get them in low ownership, that's even better, but that's a little difficult to do. So the first thing I want to look at is there are a couple of spots that have some kind of inherent win odds equity, but they're not all going to be playable because whether it was by accident or on purpose, DraftKings did a pretty super sharp job of pricing them, and I'm going to show you what I mean in a minute. As a matter of fact, we'll get to when we get to it. The first fight, let's just go right from the bottom. Sam Hughes versus Pinheiro. So let's first look at pricing. So it's not really a good pricing fight, right? You have a 9,300 versus 6,900, and that makes sense because Pinheiro is a 4-1 favorite, and this is what we're going back to, this UFC betting odds place. So she is 4-1, and next thing you want to look at is the inside the distance prop. It's about a pick 'em to not go to decision, and typically if you're a 4-1 favorite. Well, not if you're 4-1 favorite, but if you're priced at 9,300 and you don't get a finish, or you don't get like a lot of wrestling upside and a lot of takedowns, it's probably not going to be enough to get you into the optimal, which is what we're looking for here. So I feel as though, according to the numbers, Pinheiro is probably a pretty bad play. Yes, she's probably going to win, but she's, a pick 'em to not even finish at all. And you could argue that if she finishes in the third round at that price, it's not going to be good enough. And you could argue if you finish in the second round at that price, it's not good enough. So the fact that it's pick 'em to even get finished at all at that price is pretty poor. So this is probably going to be something that we pass on. Okay, Shalian, not going to even approach that name, against Soriano. So this one's interesting. First, again, let's look at the pricing. So you have Soriano's at 9K. It's 9K, and the other one's 7,200. And the win odds seem to reflect that. There's no real good win odds, equity that you can come up with here. The one thing I will say is that from a win condition perspective, it's not a really good win condition for Soriano. Soriano's not the greatest grappler in the world. And if you look at the inside the distance prop, it's barely a pick 'em to go to a decision. So again, if you're 9,300 or 9,200 is what Soriano is, or 9K, and it does, you're pick 'em only to finish, that's not going to be that great unless you have a whole bunch of wrestling upside, which she doesn't. The interesting part of this is the underdog, because although he probably only wins this fight, according to Vegas, about 33% of the time, the style is one that we're looking for. He's a wrestler, a grappler. He goes for takedowns, and Soriano actually has statistics which indicate he is very prone to get taken down. So I'm not saying that again, I'm not here to predict that he's going to be able to do it and win, because he is a 2-1 underdog. But the point is that with respect to win conditions, is if he wins, like in those 33% times that he wins, it's going to be because he got takedowns and such, which is very conducive to DraftKings scoring. So This is why I think that Xiaoyan does rate to be a very, very strong underdog in our underdog pool. Not because he's necessarily going to win. Again, we're not here to predict that, but given his win odds, and given the fact that a huge amount of times that he does win, it's going to be good enough to get him the optimal. That's a very, very strong underdog to include in the pool. So let's just remind ourselves, let's put this in here. Good underdog over here. All right, Durden against Houry. There's an incredible amount of pronunciations that I've seen about this one. Let's take a look. Inside the distance prop, very poor. It's a favorite to not go distance. However, let's look at pricing. Houry and Durden, they are 8,600 and 7,600. So it is kind of close. So what we're looking for is, again, the closer you get to both fighters being 8,100, the more likely it is that all you need is a win to make the optimal. So if you have a situation like this where it's 86 and 76, you don't always win. You don't always hit the optimal when you win. But if you can just get any kind of upside, maybe it's a fight that you want to go after. And from what I've heard, I mean, both of these fighters can get types of takedowns necessary to generate enough fantasy points to win. You know what I mean? And to overcome the lack of an inside the distance prop. So these guys, they don't really need a finish to make the optimal. And their pricing is such that they don't need an enormous score to make the optimal either. So I think the combination of each of these guys having enough points, right, in their non-decision wins to make the optimal, plus the pricing of 86 to 76, I think that this fight could be a fight that you want to attack. And again, I have no real opinion on which one of these guys to go after. They both have very similar upsides with respect to the grappling. I will just say that Durden rates to win the fight, that's 60% of the time. That's about right. And he's priced accordingly. So I would probably take equal amounts of Durden and I don't want to say Aqualung. This guy, I call him Aqualung. Is that even racist? I don't even know if I pronounce his name. It's a really tough one. So I'm going to put this guy in an underdog pool, but I would definitely take Durden on the other side of this as well. I don't know what that is. Sorry. So this next fight is extremely interesting. So Mckenney versus Zayam. So I feel as though this fight is going to generate a lot of ownership, especially on one side. But we'll take a look at it. So first things first, let's take a look at the inside the distance prop. Inside the distance prop is insanely good. It's almost a pick 'em to finish inside of 1.5 rounds. Okay. Second thing is that look at the pricing of this one. It's 8,400 to 7,800, which is really, really good. I mean, if you have an inside the distance prop like that and you have pricing like that, this is a fight that you're going to want to go after. But the other thing is this, with respect to styles, I feel as though Mckenney is the one that's generating this inside the distance prop. Because if you look at Mckenney's, his results, even doesn't say it here, but he finished this fight in like 5 seconds. And then he's finished like 10 of his other fights like inside of a minute. I mean, he really comes after you, and he really goes to that first round KO. And from what I've heard about Zayam, he's not exactly that type of guy. But let's dig down inside the distance prop here. Let's look at. So you see, Mckenney wins by TKO is plus 150, and Zayam by TKO is plus 300. So this is a lot of this inside the distance prop is coming from Mckenney. So Mckenney has got to be a smash play as far as GPP goes, right? I mean, his win condition is perfect. The pricing is good. I mean, this has got to be a smash play. Although I will say that just because, I just kind of see this happening. Mckenney goes after this guy. He can't quite get it done. He gets tired, and Zayam kind of takes over and knocks him out in the second or third round. I mean, that's certainly possible. And the thing is that at 7,600 or 7,800, for a pick 'em fight, it's got to be worth doing, right? I mean, there's actually some inherent good value here in Zion, right? Because Zion is like a -110, basically pick 'em, but he's being priced as if he's like a $1.40 favorite underdog. And the reason for that is because, again, even though his win odds are very similar to Mckenney, his win condition is not as strong as Mckenney. So whether it was on purpose or not, DraftKings really created a real sharp pricing model here, because they want you to really take Zion because of the win odds discrepancy. But with respect to GPPs and your upward win condition, it looks as though Mckenney is clearly the A fighter in this. So it's really interesting. I probably will end up getting 100% of this. And I will be overweight on Mckenney over Zion, but I will get a little bit of Zion as well. Really, really good pricing by DraftKings. Here's another good example. The next fight, look, Boomy versus Gardenias, who basically Gardenias fights every week, it seems. And we've gotten her right, I think, every time. And right, what does right mean? We thought that she'd be, we'll get to that in a second. So you'll first look at the win odds. You see that Gardenias is a -1. Well, she's a -160, so I guess that's fair. So she's a -160, and she's being priced, yeah, I guess about that. I guess the win odds are fair. But look, Boomy, I thought that was going to have a little bit of inherent value there, but not so much. Now let's look at the inside distance prop. Inside the distance prop is going to be poor because these fighters are not finishers. But Gardenias, as we saw actually both of her fights in the last couple of weeks, she really does go for takedowns. So she does try to get that path to high DraftKings non-finishing scores. She's very successful with it 2 fights ago, but unsuccessful with it this past fight. This past fight, though, she did come through on short notice and fought a very, very big opponent who had good takedown defense. So it was very frustrating for her. And yet still she was able to control her, but, she ended up losing. She just couldn't quite get it done, but the other, her opponent there was very big, and it was, again, short notice fight. And I feel as though that in this particular matchup, if, she's going to do the same thing. She's going to try for those takedowns, which to me means try for the DraftKings scoring. So her win condition is very, very strong. So I think that she is an extremely good play here. And unfortunately, Loma, the pricing it's okay. At 7,400, I guess that she has to be considered a decent underdog, because if she wins, how is she going to win? She's going to win by stuffing the takedowns and winning on the feet, probably getting a decision. How many points is that really going to be, though? 70? And at 7,400, I just don't think that's enough. So for me, I think Gardenias is the person is the fighter to attack in this fight. Not to attack, the fighter to use in your lineups in this fight, because her win condition is very, very strong. And she rates to win the fight. Ooh, it's a tough call, man, because she's being priced as if she's almost like a $1.90 favorite, but she's actually only like a $1.50, $1.60. So I still think that upside, the style upside is worth it. So I think she is a pretty good play. All right, Garcia Levy. Let's take a look. Inside the distance prop, terrible. -200, -175 to go inside the distance. Neither of these guys are particularly great wrestlers or DraftKings scorers. So for me, the only thing that has going for it is the pricing. 8,500, 7,700, and that's even just okay. So this fight is probably going to be a pass for me. All right, Sabatini Lutz. So this fight is another one with a poor inside the distance prop. Well, I shouldn't say poor. Yeah, I guess it's poor. It's -150 to go to finish. The thing is that both of these fighters are grapplers. They both of them have good takedown abilities. So I feel as though they both have pretty decent win conditions. So I even though the inside the distance prop's not that great, I do think they're both their win conditions are well suited. So I'm going to include probably both of these guys in my player pool. Sabatini, fine. And I think Lutz is an extremely live underdog again, because, you compare Lutz to, say, Boomy. They're very similar in price, but I think Lutz's win condition is just much more conducive to high scores, especially in a low, finish environment. Now, again, in this finish environment is certainly better than the Boomy fight. So I think that Lutz is a pretty live underdog as well. Again, we're not going to play all these people, but let's just throw them in there just to see what it looks like. Next fight, Davey Grant against Inez. Again, let's look at the check boxes. Well, you have one big, huge favorite. He's 3-1, and it's actually priced relatively cheap for 3-1. 3-1s, you sometimes get 9,300. You're only getting 9,100. So that's actually, well, let's compare that one to Soriano, for example. No, I guess it's the same. Soriano's 280, and Inez is 3. Yeah, it's about the same. So no real bargain there. But as opposed to Soriano, you look at the inside distance prop, and this is really, really good. It's $1.90 to finish. As a matter of fact, it's almost a pick 'em to finish within, under 2.5 rounds. So now we're talking about maybe first or second round KO possibilities out of Inez. So I think that is a very, very strong win condition for him. So I think that Inez, of the 9K guys that we've discussed already, I think he is the premier one, at least to start off with. I think he's much better than who are the guys whoever the guys we said before, Pinheiro, Soriano. I feel as though Inez is a much better 9K, just because of the inside the distance prop. The possibility of the KOs him early is just much better. Davey Grant, as an underdog, I don't know. I just feel those other underdogs are just better. How is he going to win? I guess he could get a KO, but if there's like 50, if I'm playing 50 lineups, maybe he'll get into 2 or 3 of them. But I like the other underdogs we mentioned better. I don't think that he has the same type of upside. Okay, Joanne Calderwood versus Talia Santos. So let's take a look at this. All right, win odds. She's a 3.5-1 favorite. Let's see how she's being priced here. She's being priced at, about fair. Let's take a look at the inside distance prop for Santos. Very poor. As far as wrestling goes, from what I've seen, I think Calderwood might actually be the wrestler in this. I have to do a little more homework on this one, I guess. But Santos definitely has good win odds, but you're going to need one of those Felicia Spencer fights like she did, and we talked about this about her last week. If she could really swarm Calderwood over the course of 3 rounds and really just smother her and then get a finish with a lot of significant strikes in the 3rd round, she could break the slate without even finishing, which is what Spencer did. So I guess it's possible. But I think I like Inez a little bit better. I gotta pause this a second. I really don't remember where I was. I'm sorry I had to take this call, but so nonetheless, I think Santos, I guess, could be a good play, but I still like the Inez one. Inez, how it was? The Inez one a little bit better. I don't know. Maybe Talia Santos does have that Felicia Spencer performance in her. I'm going to include her. All right, Ronnie Yaya against Kang Kyung Ho. So this one is interesting. First, let's look at the inside the distance prop. It's very, very poor. I think, yes, not a good inside the distance prop, but you have both of these guys that could be live with respect to their win conditions. So Kang Ho could very well take down Ronnie Yaya a bunch of times. And the weird thing is that Ronnie Yaya might not be opposed to that, because Ronnie Yaya is a big submission artist. So he wouldn't even mind getting taken down, and he will be hunting for submissions after he gets taken down. So you have this kind of battle of styles where the winner is probably, I think, is probably going to score well, whether it be Ronnie Yaya submitting, aka finishing, and Kyung Ho, preventing the submission by taking the guy down a lot. So you take a look, and it's a pick 'em fight, and it's priced for, for goodness, man. It's 8,200 to 8K. So I think this is a very, very big fight you want to target here. I mean, I don't think either of these guys is going to get like 120, but I think that the winner of this is locked for like 90, So I think this is a fight you're going to want to have to get. There are a lot of options here, I have to say. And that's going to bring us to the main event in a couple of minutes. Anyway, all right, Brady against Chiesa. This is it's going to be a really good fight, but we don't care if it's a good fight or not. Let's just take a look at this from the perspective of the numbers. Brady, who's like 15-0 against Chiesa, who's fought better competition. I love these fights like that. So anyway, really good inside the distance prop. It's like -160 to finish. And both guys could possibly do some taking down, some wrestling. A lot of ways for both of these guys to score well. And the pricing is pretty good. You have, what do you have here? 70, 8,900, 73, especially Chiesa. Wow. 7,300 on Chiesa as what kind of favorite is this? He's only plus 130, and he's getting priced as if he's a 2-to-1 underdog, pretty close to it. I mean, I'll tell you this. He is going to be extremely chalky, I would imagine. I mean, how do you not play this? I mean, you have everything. You have the inside the distance prop. You have a decent win condition. You have basically a misprice. So this has got to be the best play on the card, isn't it? I don't know. As of Wednesday, that's my comment. I don't even know if he's going to win. Probably not. He's going to win what? What is this? 40% of the time? But he's being priced. He's going to win 30% of the time, or 33% of the time, pretty much. And he's got to win. I don't know. This looks easy to me. Again, easy is mathematical. It's an easy mathematical decision. Doesn't mean it's going to win. It's probably going to lose, but there's got to be EV to play him. Now, again, we haven't discussed like how owned he's going to be. I mean, he's 50% owned, and I won't play him in GPPs like that. But hell, it's got to be a great play, Anyway, now main event. So 5-round fight. You have that floor. It's just tough to fade. Even though it's a women's fight without a lot of finishing upside or a lot of volume or anything like that. Look at the inside of distance prop. It's ridiculous. Actually, it's about pick 'em, I guess. So I don't know. It's just hard to fade these things. I mean, unless they start pricing these main event fights higher, I mean, you just got to keep playing this. So I would probably try to play the main event. And the good thing is the good thing is whatever. There's looks as though Tate is just incredibly overpriced here. I mean, look at this. You have Vieira, who's basically a -120 favorite, being priced as the underdog. Beats me. But I mean, to me, Vieira is an incredible equity play. So that's where I'm at. This card looks to have like some really, really good spots in it. I don't know how many lineups I'm going to play, but pretty sure I know what I'm going to do here. I mean, and that's going to be to key those Mckenney's fight, right? You got to play this main event, I guess. Chiesa looks like a tremendous play. I might not even have to play the Lutz Sabatini fight. Inez. I'm going to make sure, by the way, I play some Santos, just in case you get that, that Felicia Spencer performance. And then this Kang Yaya fight should be something to target. Maybe you don't even need to play Gardenias, for example, or this Cody Durden fight. I don't know. This one thing I will tell you, I'm not playing this thing. this Levy Garcia fight is definitely falling off the map. And this other one, that first fight of the night, that's the Pinheiro fight. No way, I'm not playing that. And maybe I don't even need to play the Sal Young guy with the wrestling upside. I could make some good ownership decisions this week. Anyway, that's what I got. If I put an update out, I'll let you know. I really hope that all these fights kind of stay as scheduled. Good luck.